Good morning. My name is Al Garner, and as the chair of the Prospect Park Alliance, indeed I say the proud chair of the Prospect Park Alliance today, it gives me great pleasure to welcome all of you to the Samuel J. and Ethel LeFrak Center at Lakeside. Combined with the Haim Bear Music Island and Shelby White and Leon Levy Esplanade at Lakeside, this project spans more than 26 acres and restores an underused section of the park. There are so many people that deserve kudos for making this project happen, and I know that the speakers that will follow me will thank many of them. But I specifically wanted to thank the two presidents in the history of the Prospect Park Alliance. Our founding president, Tupper Thomas. Need I say any more? But it is she who had the vision, determination, and entire passion for not only this project, but the whole park's revival. And our current president, Emily Lloyd, who came to this park as a gift to me almost 3 years ago and saw that the Alliance completed fundraising for the project and that it was, this is not altogether fully understood, that it was built on time and on budget. This project would not have happened without them and the whole staff of the Prospect Park Alliance. We owe them all a deep debt of gratitude. I also want to acknowledge my predecessor, our founding chair, Terry Christensen. He's been the tireless champion for this park for the better part of 3 decades. Thank you, Terry. I would be remiss if I did not express my appreciation to my fellow board members who have been tremendous supporters of this project, both financially and through a lot of hard work. In particular today, I'd like to recognize board member Iris Weinshaw. Iris showed this project to the LeFrak family first, and through her perseverance and persuasion, always gentle, right, Iris? Gave them the opportunity to see how their contribution would be a fitting way to honor their parents. And now I'm pleased to introduce the Prospect Park Administrator and the President of the Prospect Park Alliance, Emily Lloyd.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you for your leadership throughout this process. Thank you all for being here this morning. This is a thrilling day for us because Lakeside is a signature example of how our great public-private partnership between the Parks Department and the Prospect Park Alliance can make this great park even greater. The completion of the LeFrak Center will transform what was previously a 4-month seasonal recreation center into a year-round destination in the park. As Al said, there are many, many people who deserve our thanks and recognition. First and foremost, let me thank our elected officials. Mayor Michael Bloomberg and his administration have been committed to improving and providing more public space in New York City, and from the very beginning prioritized this project. We could not have done this without Mayor Bloomberg, First Deputy Mayor Patty Harris, and Nanette Smith, Parks Commissioner Veronica White, First Deputy Parks Commissioner Liam Kavanaugh, Brooklyn Borough Parks Commissioner Kevin Jeffrey, and the unsung heroes in the arsenal, such as Assistant Commissioner Betsy Smith, Charles Cloth, Parks Council Alessandro Olivieri, and Charlie Donahue. And of course, former Parks Commissioner Adrian Benepe, who's in Los Angeles right now and says he would so much rather be here. And I think, it being Adrian, he really means it. He'd be out there on his skates. Our one-of-a-kind Brooklyn Borough President, Marty Markowitz, has been Prospect Park's greatest champion since his days in the state Senate. He has done more for this park than any other Brooklynite since James Stranahan, who oversaw the creation of the first Parks Commission and Prospect Park. Brad Lander, who represents the park, and Matthew Eugene, who represents the parade ground, and the rest of the Brooklyn delegation, and Speaker Christine Quinn of the City Council ensured that this project had the funding it needed to keep moving forward year after year after year. When I finally came back and they said, "Are you asking for more money for Lakeside?" And I said, "No." They were almost disbelieving. We're also very fortunate to have had such strong support from our leaders in Albany. Thank you, Governor Cuomo, Lieutenant Governor Duffy, who's toured the site, the Brooklyn delegation of State Assembly and State Senate, and we're pleased to be joined today by Assembly members Jim Brennan, Felix Ortiz, and I think Karen Phillips from State Parks. Raise your hand. Thank you for being here. We also had support from our representatives in Washington, most notably our Congresswoman Yvette Clarke. Of course, this project would not have happened without the generosity of so many others. Let me start with our board of directors. They decided to build a project Olmsted and Vaux could smile on, and then backed it up with their time, money, and faith in the staff. I'd like to particularly thank Chuck Jacob and Iris Weinshaw, Bob Lawson, for the extra effort in the last months that they've given, and of course Al Garner for his support throughout. And then we had several really important gifts early in the project that allowed us to get it started. Shelby White and the Leon Levy Foundation began the Lakeside project by restoring the Concert Grove Terrace and historic shoreline to the original Olmsted and Vaux design. J.P. Morgan Chase gave this beautiful East Building public space that we're using for the first time today and will provide space for so many happy times in the future. The Brooklyn Community Foundation gave the stunning open-air rink that you see right out there that is closer to skating on the lake than anything we've had in 60 years, and in the summer converts into water play for children. And now, the LeFrak family has concluded the Lakeside campaign with a generous naming gift of the center in honor of their parents, Samuel J. and Ethel LeFrak, which will ensure that this magnificent facility is here to serve Brooklynites for generations to come. The LeFraks have deep roots in Brooklyn and started out building housing for middle-class families, and we are honored to have the LeFrak Center name. And I want to welcome Richard and Karen LeFrak. We have Francine LeFrak and Rick Friedberg, Denise LeFrak and John Colicchio, Jamie LeFrak, Allison Kaufman and Jeffrey Lipsitz, Jennifer Bandier and Neil Boyarsky, and Ed Kosinski, who is the husband of Jacqueline LeFrak. Welcome to all of you, and thank you for making the effort to be here. Of course, fundraising is not the complete challenge with a project like this. Designing the site started with the amazing Todd Williams and Billy Sien and their entire fabulous team, and our own resident landscape architect, Christian Zimmerman, and his team, who designed and oversaw the project from the very beginning. After you design, you need somebody really good to build it, and we were fortunate enough to have the New York City Economic Development Corporation, Siami Construction, and Gleeds, each with committed leadership from the very top and a terrific, terrific staff on site. And finally, I'd like to say a thank you to all of you here. Everyone in this room is a funder, a volunteer, someone who works in Prospect Park, or an engaged community member. This project took everyone's involvement and commitment, and we feel so fortunate to celebrate this accomplishment with all of you. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our mayor, Michael Bloomberg.
Anybody lost an earring? We found one. Well, good afternoon, Al. Thank you. And Emily, thank you. You did a great job when you were one of our commissioners, and you've done a great job here. Congratulations. And everybody's a beneficiary of that. Good morning, everyone. I expect most of you to go out and skate after this. Prospect Park always looks especially enchanting in a light snowfall, just like this one. So It's just perfect. Young skaters, some from nearby PS 161 and Base High School, who, along with Sparky, the mascot of the New York Islanders, are getting ready to go out on the ice, and they, I'm sure, agree with me. This is a big day for them, a big day for Prospect Park and for Brooklyn. And today we're unveiling the new Samuel J. and Ethel LeFrak Center. Looking down and big smiles on their faces. And I've said to Richard that his parents, he'll get a great deal of pleasure. And there's no dogs allowed on the ice skating ring, so the wife not talking to him yet, but that's okay, we'll work it out. This is New York's newest all-year-round recreation venue. It puts the icing, so to speak, if you'll pardon the pun, on the ambitious and graceful restoration of the original vision for this Prospect Park, the 26-acre Lakeside area. It symbolizes the historic restoration and expansion of city parks our administration has overseen since 2002, and I think it also epitomizes the spectacular renaissance of Brooklyn over the past 12 years. Back in 1960, the city built the outdoor Woolman Rink near this spot. In the process, however, a large part of the exquisite Lakeside design that the parks created and crafted here was demolished and covered over. And thanks to a visionary public-private partnership, what was lost then has been regained and enlarged today. And instead of disrupting the lakeside landscape here, this attractive new LeFrak Center, which officially opens on Friday, mark your calendars, gracefully adds to it. This facility, as Emily mentioned, designed by Todd Williams, Billy Ten Architects, and lead landscape architect Christian Zimmerman of the Prospect Park Alliance, blends the center seamlessly into its surroundings. It replaces Prospect Park's badly outdated old skating ring with two new rings, which are also sled hockey accessible for skaters with disabilities. So now there'll be more room here for freestyle skating, for ice skating lessons, for hockey games, and for other events. And the fun will go on all year long because the ice skating season ends next March, and then the LeFrak Center will be available for roller skating. And from May to September for water play in spray showers and for children and their families as well. The Prospect Park Alliance, which partners with the city's Parks Department to preserve and enhance this sublime treasure of a park in the heart of Brooklyn, raised nearly $20 million in private donations for the entire $74 million Lakeside restoration project. The taxpayers have provided the balance of funds for this project from state, city, and federal budgets, and thank you to all levels of government. As Emily mentioned, the LeFrak family has also donated $10 million for maintenance and upkeep of Lakeside and nearby parts of the park. And we are joined by LeFrak CEO Richard LeFrak and his wife Karen, who are good friends of mine. They have been great citizens of New York. They understand the city. They are part of it. They come from here. And they understand an obligation to make this a better place for everyone, and they're doing exactly that. And I just want to tell you, we really are grateful for your gift. It's a wonderful thing to do. I know your wife made you do it, but that's okay. This is going to ensure that the 10 million visitors that Prospect Park hosts annually will be able to enjoy this beautiful new center for many years to come. The Lakeside restoration is the largest and most complex capital project in Prospect Park in at least 120 years, and one of the largest single projects in city parks during our administration, but I hasten to say it is far from the only one. During the past 12 years, our administration has invested more than $5 billion in capital improvements in our parks, the biggest investment we think of any administration in history that has ever made in parks. And since 2002, we've redesigned and upgraded some 600 parks and recreation facilities, large and small, all across the 5 boroughs. From the renovated $50 million McCarran Park Pool and Play Center in Brooklyn, which reopened in 2012 after being closed for almost 20 years, and which also has a newly opened ice skating ring, to Soundview Park in the Bronx, to Rockaway Park in Queens. We've either completed or gone a long ways towards completing significant redevelopments of major but long-neglected regional parks in all 5 boroughs. And as part of Plan YC Sustainability's agenda, we've also opened nearly 230 school playgrounds throughout the 5 boroughs for after-school and weekend recreation. We're also dramatically increasing the size of what was already the nation's biggest municipal park system in the nation. Our administration has added more than 870 acres of parkland across the city, and that includes almost 490 acres of new waterfront parkland, opening up more of one of our most precious recreational assets, our dazzling waterfront, to public use and public enjoyment. The High Line and the Brooklyn Bridge Park have drawn international attention by taking long abandoned and blighted industrial areas and creatively redesign them as major public parks. And all you got to do is mention that when you go outside of New York or any place outside of America, and you can just see it on people's faces. If they come here, that's where they go, and they walk away thinking that New York is where things are happening, and that all the people in this city are able to enjoy the great outdoors. And for a big, hustling, bustling city that everyone thinks of as just concrete, exactly the reverse is true. We made a commitment to have everybody live within 10 minutes walk of a park, and with the playgrounds that we've created, unused schoolyards that don't get used in the afternoon or weekends or in the summer, we really have given a lot of people more opportunity to enjoy the great outdoors. We have ongoing investments, incidentally, in other public spaces that will also make great attractive destinations, one of which is Governor's Island. And I've been to toured it a couple times, and it's just really amazing what that's going to be. In the years to come, the continuing development of Fresh Kills Park on Staten Island will also give New Yorkers another 2,000 acres of city parkland and make Fresh Kills the largest new city park since the 1880s. It takes a while when you have a refuse facility to make it habitable for people, but as it becomes available, we hope the future administrations in this city will recognize what a wonderful thing it'll be for Staten Island and for all the city. These new open spaces will build on what is one of our administration's proudest achievements, I think, and that is that this growing city, which now has a record high population of 8.4 million people, continues to go from strength to strength. Today, some 76% of New Yorkers can find a park or a playground close to their home, an increase of 250,000 people in just the past 6 years. We've created 106 new parks here in Brooklyn, and that's not the only category in which Brooklyn has put up big numbers, as Marty Markowitz will certainly remind us all, and should. In population growth and job growth, higher graduation rates and new school construction, public safety and public health, Brooklyn has really seen big progress in the last 12 years. From Red Hook to Bushwick, neighborhoods that were once suffered from disinvestment and abandonment and were scarred by crime and blight, today are growing communities where families want to move to, where businesses want to open, and where new jobs and housing are being created. Since 2001, Brooklyn's population has grown by something more than 96,000 people. Just think about that. I'm sure that makes that increase one of the biggest cities in the country, not to mention Brooklyn, which Marty thinks should be a separate city, but it's not going to be. But it is true that when you say to somebody who's come to town, where are you staying, where are you eating, Brooklyn, Brooklyn, Brooklyn. And I'm happy to say also that the other boroughs are experiencing growth, not quite as spectacular, but they're coming along, and they will be the Brooklyns of tomorrow. To help Brooklynites over the past 12 years, we have financed the preservation and construction of something more than 43,000 units of affordable housing in this borough alone. We've also created more than 29,000 new school seats and 219 new schools in Brooklyn. Our problem is that lots of people want to live here. Our problem is that lots of people want to go to school here, and those are nice problems to have. They are great challenges, but they are an awful lot better than the reverse. In 2005, fewer than half of Brooklyn's high school students graduated within 4 years, you should know. Today, nearly 65% do, a nearly 33% increase in the graduation rate right here in Brooklyn. And because of the five-borough economic development strategy that we've had, Brooklyn's economy has grown rapidly as well. From 2002 to 2012, private sector jobs here grew by more than 19%. and you just compare that to the national rate of private sector job growth, which is something less than 3% between 02 and 12. So, Brooklyn has really been just knocking the cover off the ball. New industries and businesses are making a big impact here. Since 2002, for example, 36 new hotels have opened in Brooklyn, and there are another 4 under development. And I remember when Marriott was the leader and was the only new hotel, and it was one of a kind, and that's just not the case. So they showed that there is a market here, and others followed, and that's the way it should be. The number of leisure and hospitality jobs in Brooklyn is up nearly 80% during that time. The borough is also home to the city's state-of-the-art new recycling center, a key element in the comprehensive solid waste management plan that we adopted in 2006. I'm also happy to say that the people of Brooklyn are safer than ever. Since 2001, we've cut murders in Brooklyn by better than 43% and shooting incidents by more than 35%. And to date, there have been 36 fewer traffic fatalities here this year than there were back in 2001. Brooklyn's quality of life and length of life have both improved, and men in Brooklyn, and I particularly care about the men for obvious reasons, men in Brooklyn now live on average over 3 years longer than they did in 2001, and women live nearly 3 years longer, although they started at a higher rate than us. More and more men and women, young and old, seriously are enjoying everything Brooklyn has to offer, including, got us back to our topic, Prospect Park, and the opening of this new LeFrak Center and the other historic achievements we've made in city parks across the city, I think are a tribute to the hard work of the best municipal parks department in the nation. So now let me turn the floor over to our city's Parks Commissioner, Veronica White. Veronica?
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. It is a great day for Brooklyn, and it's a great day to be here. I grew up in Brooklyn in the 1970s, and I grew up in the Prospect Park of Brooklyn in the 1970s. So I'm grateful to be part of an administration, to work for Mayor Bloomberg and for First Deputy Mayor Patty Harris, and be here as the city has invested billions in parks from Van Cortlandt to Fresh Kills. It's awesome. It's an awesome responsibility, and it's been great to watch. And it's been great to be joined by other elected officials, such as our own Borough President of Brooklyn, and council members who've also joined in dedicating, as the mayor said, taxpayer dollars to our parks and our park system across 5 boroughs, and we're so grateful. We're also very grateful, of course, to all of our private sector partners. Without the LeFrak family, we wouldn't be here today. So we're so grateful that you gave your own personal money, that the elected officials gave our taxpayer dollars, to be joined in the wonderful, wonderful work that we have, not only here in Prospect Park, but across all the 5 boroughs of New York City for a wonderful 5-borough park system. And who joins us all together? It's our Prospect Park Alliance. It's our conservancies, our trusts, our public-private partnerships. They gather the public money, the private money, and they work together with the Parks Department, with our Economic Development Corporation, and make things happen. So congratulations to Emily, to Tupper, and of course to Al, and to all those here at our wonderful, wonderful Prospect Park Alliance who've done so much for this park and for all of New York City parks. Thank you all, and congratulations to the mayor, to Patty, and everyone. Thank you.
Veronica, thank you. Construction of the LeFrak Center and the entire Lakeside project was overseen by the city's Economic Development Corporation. Our next speaker is the EDC president, Kyle Kimball. Kyle?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are extremely proud to bring this new skating and recreational facility to Brooklyn, but also proud to have worked closely with our client, the Prospect Park Alliance, on several, and the city and Commissioner White, on really several hundreds of acres of parks that the mayor mentioned earlier. We're really honored to have managed the construction here today for all the reasons that everyone has mentioned, but also because creating world-class parks and investing in livable cities is a key component to economic development. And also, on a personal note, I look forward to enjoying LeFrak Center with my 16-month-old daughter as soon as we have skates that are big enough for her little feet. So I want to thank the mayor and Deputy Mayor Steele for their vision and leadership here. Commissioner White, of course, for her continued partnership, for President Markowitz, Commissioner Lander, my councilman and involuntary mentor, and LeFrak CEO, of course, and the family for their incredible generosity in making today possible. Al Garner for his long stewardship here of the Alliance, Emily, and the really dedicated team at EDC, Lynn Greco, Joanna, Cindy Lowe, and Kung Ko. And I left Goldman Sachs in 2007 because I wanted my hard work to make a bigger difference to the city. And I think through all the people I've mentioned today and all the people I haven't mentioned who worked on this, I think through this partnership we can all honestly say that we left the city better than when we found it. So thank you for the opportunity.
Kyle, thank you. A major share of the funding for this project has come from the budget of our next speaker and Brooklyn's greatest champion. And if you have to ask who that is, I don't know what to tell you. Marty?
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor. I would like to remind you that if Brooklyn was a separate city, as it should be, this much I would tell you, there would be no term limits. Anyway, good line, Tupper. First off, thank you very, very much. It's really a pleasure to be here, and I want to thank Al for your outstanding leadership, Terry, and of course, seeing Tupper here. I know this is your vision. You worked so hard for so many years, and it's finally happening. We know that Prospect Park is the gem, the jewel, the #1 urban park in America, and it's really true. Emily, unbelievable work, leadership that you have really moved ahead. By the way, Mayor, you once encouraged me, if you remember, to take a ride on the Slingshot in Coney Island, which I would only do if you softened my landing with bags of money of yours. Now, you didn't respond to me on that, but I will say that we can take the Zamboni and you'll be the pilot, okay? And for free. I don't expect anything from you. Anyway, in the last few weeks, I must tell you, just the last few weeks in Brooklyn, there's plenty more I won't even mention. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame announced that their annual award ceremony will be right at Barclays Arena. Not bad. Shakespearean Theater relocated to Brooklyn from Manhattan, the Theater for New Audience. Brick Arts Media opened a beautiful, beautiful building in Fort Greene, totally restored. Brand new Y, first one in years in Coney Island. This morning, hundreds of hungry Brooklynites, the foodies of Brooklyn, are waiting with great anticipation the opening of Whole Foods, which we're thrilled about, the expansion of Brooklyn Bridge Park just a few weeks ago, and of course today the Lakeside Center, which it shows you Brooklyn is on a big, big roll. By the way, Tops, I wanted to mention you look great in the New York Times this past Sunday in the real estate section. Veronica White, outstanding work, and it's been an honor to work with you. And Kyle Kimball, President, you're tremendous. Emily, again, you know, it's been a pleasure to work with you. Jim Brennan, my colleague in government, and Brad Lander and Matthew Eugene. Brooklyn is fortunate that you will continue to be serving Brooklyn in the years ahead. And of course, Todd Williams and Billy Chien, the architects, thank you for your great work. The LeFrak family, Richard, Denise, Francine LeFrak, and the entire LeFrak family, it's a mitzvah, what you're doing here, a true mitzvah, because this and future generations will be celebrating the LeFrak family's name. It really will, and the contributions you've made to New York City. And by the way, like you know, it all started here, so in Brooklyn. I know that you feel, as I do, there's no better gift to the residents of Brooklyn and New York City for this holiday season and the opening of the Samuel J. and Ethel LeFrak Center here at Lakeside. It's fitting that the center is opening right here in Brooklyn, where Samuel LeFrak, of blessed memory, was in fact born. This is a project that I've been thrilled to support. As we all know, it's a rare project indeed that has absolutely no opposition, like this one. It's rare, right, Terry? Rare. You could say it's the icing on the red velvet cake that is Prospect Park. A beautiful skating pavilion with 2 new rinks, 1 usable year-round, as well as the other amenities, including the LeFrak Center Cafe, where hungry skaters can enjoy food made by local culinary artisans, and where non-skaters like me will be filling up on treats while being close to the action. We know that Olmsted and Vox were alive today. They would be thrilled to see the way their 18th century vision is being realized for the 21st century and beyond. The mayor and Speaker Quinn and City Council and Borough President's Office, Tupper, Emily, and the Prospect Park Alliance, as well as these professionals, donors, volunteers, all who worked on this project for so many years. We can all feel good that future generations will discover the joys of Prospect Park through the LeFrak Center. As anyone who spent time here year-round can tell you, winter is an incredible season with all this beautiful park has to offer. From walkers to bikers and nature lovers and bird watchers and horseback riders and cross-country skiers, believe it or not, it's true. Prospect Park is Brooklyn's winter wonderland. And these 2 gorgeous rinks, as well as the Music Island and the Shelby White and Leon Levy Esplanade, are for really everybody. In a place where children and families will have fun and couples can meet, and they will. There'll be many marriages as a result of this. Or if not that, at least a few dates. And who knows, the next Michelle Kwan or Dorothy Hamill may get her start here, and maybe a great champion Brooklyn Islander will get the chance. So lace up your skates, because the ice in Prospect Park is now twice as nice. And finally, I want to say to you, Mayor, because I know you're making your tours of the 5 boroughs, you will, the highest compliment that I can pay another elected official is that you're leaving New York City a better place than when it was when you started. And it's been a pleasure to work with you, and I mean that. Great things have happened here, all of New York City, but certainly we know New York City begins in Brooklyn. And if you want to know how New York City is doing, how's Brooklyn doing? We're doing great. Thank you all.
Marty, thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't point out that you can say exactly the same thing. You've left this borough an awful lot better than it was when you were first elected. Councilman Brad Lander has also been an enthusiastic supporter of the Lakeside project. Councilman?
Thank you. It's always rough to follow Marty. I know you'll join me as much as we're excited about Borough President Eric Adams in conveying a special honorific Brooklyn Borough President for life on Marty Markowitz. So, for sure. I believe we're judged as human beings in large part on how we act as stewards, on how we take care of our common inheritance, on how we tend and steward the public realm. And that we're judged as generations by how we act as stewards and make decisions that are for our kids and grandkids and their kids and grandkids. And that's not easy to do. It wasn't easy for Calvert and Vaux and Stranahan back in the middle of the 19th century to carve out land that speculators and developers were hungry for and say that has to be Brooklyn's common inheritance. It's beating heart, carve it out, and then design it in this extraordinary way, improving on that earlier park that they had carved out and designed, and leave it to us. It was an extraordinary act of stewardship. And it's not that often that I feel our generation and we are really able in remarkable ways to live up to that. And today, I believe we, everybody in this room, really is. This is an act of stewardship for future generations, and when you look out and see how magnificent it looks and know how many thousands and ultimately millions of young people and older people are going to get to enjoy the park in that space, we are doing our duty as stewards to future generations, and I think Calvert and Vaux are smiling and would be proud of us today. So big thanks to everyone in this room, because as Emily said, everyone in this room is either a donor or a volunteer or somebody who cleans it and takes care of it. And it is that common sense of stewardship that makes it such a magnificent place. That said, I want to add my voice of thanks for a few people that have really invested, and I do want to start with the mayor, because that model of stewardship and investment in infrastructure and parks has characterized the administration throughout, in some beautiful and visible ways like this, and in some invisible ways like City Water Tunnel number 3 and things that'll never get something quite like this. And it really is a great act of generosity for future generations. So thanks to you and Deputy Mayor Harris and the whole Parks Department and EDC. Just magnificent. So thank you. To Marty especially, again, throughout Brooklyn, really no one has stewarded Brooklyn like you, and I don't think they ever will. To the LeFraks and all the private donors, just enormous thanks. You won't be here every weekend to see how much joy it's bringing, but you will know it is, and that your parents' memory is so deeply honored by it. What can we say about the Prospect Park Alliance? Al and Iris and everyone on the board, remarkable. And to both Tupper and Emily, we really have almost no better stories of what public-private partnership looks like and how public officials can take care of our spaces together. I want to add special thanks to Christian Zimmerman for all his great design work, and to Eric Landau, who the mayor said 10 million people visit the park every year. If only 1 in 100 calls with a complaint, that's 100,000 complaints every year, and they all go to Eric, and he helps us navigate them. On behalf of the council, we're honored with our partners in state government. I'm honored to be with Councilmember Matthew Eugene and with Jim Brennan and Felix Ortiz. And I want to add the thanks of 3 people from the council who couldn't be here today. Our speaker, Christine Quinn, who is a great fan and supporter of this park. Our finance chairman, Dominic Recchia, who really fought tooth and nail for the millions of dollars that came in. And Jeff Rodas in the council's finance division, who has helped find those monies and make sure they found their way to Kyle so that he could put them to work in the park. We're just really deeply honored to be partners. For the past 3 years, every week, as during the winter, someone has called and said, when is that rink opening again? My kids are so eager to be there. And I would try to give them that rap about stewardship and how we have to think about the kids and grandkids. And a few bought it, but mostly I'm happy to say to them this week, the ice is open. Thank you very much.
Councilman, thank you. Finally, I want to once again thank the LeFrak family for their generous donation to this project. And Richard, we'd love to hear a few words from you.
Thank you, Mayor Bloomberg. It was a pretty good real estate deal, don't you think? Mayor Bloomberg, President Markowitz, Councilman Landa, Councilman Eugene, Assemblyman Brennan, Parks Commissioner White, Economic Development Corporation President Kimball, honored guests, Emily, where's Emily? The LeFrak family's roots in Brooklyn run deep. It was just 5 miles from here in the early 1900s that my grandfather, Harry, bought some farmland and started what eventually became our family's real estate and development business. My father, Sam, grew up in Crown Heights, attended public school 167, and graduated from Erasmus Hall High School. My mother, Ethel, was born and raised in Bensonhurst and graduated from New Utrecht High School. When my parents married, their first home was at 2728 Kings Highway. And Sam built his first building in Midwood at 1411 Avenue N in 1939. I was going to say at this point that we came to Brooklyn before it was cool. But I'm going to amend that and say we came to Brooklyn when it was cool first time around. Given that history, it should not be too surprising that when my sisters, Denise, Francine, and Jacqueline, and I learned of this ambitious capital program underway here in Prospect Park, and in particular, the plans for this spectacular ice skating center and year-round recreational facility, we saw it as a great opportunity not only to honor our parents' memory, but equally important to continue to remain an integral part of the Brooklyn community. Our gift to Prospect Park is our way of simply saying we haven't forgotten where we came from. And if I can offer a second message, more on a personal note, today reinforces something I've known and believed in for a very long time. Our city has much more than just one great park to be proud of, to lend support to, and to invest in. My gratitude to Emily Lloyd and Iris Weinschall, who were wonderfully persistent and who some months ago escorted me and my sisters out here and opened my eyes to this magnificent facility, and to Billy, Todd, and Christian, whose vision will bear the name of our parents. Thanks to all the public officials, and thank you everyone for allowing us to be part of this new landmark. Thank you.
Richard, thank you. Before we take some questions, let me briefly bring everyone up to date on the snow conditions in our city. We, as you can see outside, are still expecting accumulations of 1 to 3 inches of snow, and to facilitate any snow plowing that may be necessary, we have suspended alternate side parking today. More than 830 snowplow-equipped sanitation trucks are standing by for snow removal, and New Yorkers can track their progress online at nyc.gov using the Plow NYC feature. It's really quite amazing. You can No more complaints. You can see exactly when the plow went down your street and where they are now. Sanitation crews are using more than 500 pieces of equipment to spread salt on roadways and are working in split 12-hour shifts with some 2,500 workers on each shift. But at the same time, they are also recycling, refuse and recycling collection is proceeding as normal. Let me just summarize for today for our Spanish-speaking New Yorkers, today's announcements. Estamos abriendo el nuevo parque llamado Centro de LeFrak de Prospect. Has a ring to it, right? The Prospect Parque tendrá dos pistas de hielo. Abrirán el público este viernes. Este proyecto demuestra nuestro compromiso de mejorar y crecer nuestro sistema de parques. And with that, we'll be happy to take some questions. If